Hey, how's it going? Kevin here at Colville Toyota. So, I wanted to go over leasing. What is leasing? Well, historically, in the past, people, when they hear the word lease, they think of the way it used to be. Nowadays, we have laws protecting us with the specific lease programs that you can do with different manufacturers. But it used to be when you lease that the banks had all the power. So literally your payments didn't really go towards anything other than just paying interest and your ability to use the vehicle. And if anything happened, the banks could do all kinds of things to people. And a lot of people really got taken advantage of with the lease program. And so that was one thing that developed a really bad taste in people's mouth for leasing programs. Now, like I said, there are a lot of laws that have changed over the years to really make this a wonderful program, especially with Toyota. And so, Toyota's lease program, they do it a little bit differently. So, if you imagine a pie chart, you're only paying for the slice that you take, okay? And you can take a bigger slice if you want to as well. So you don't have to just take, a normal size slice. If you want more, you can do more. So I'm gonna flip the camera around here. I've got my ink board and try to do this one-handed. All right, so if you imagine your pie, okay, and you're only paying for this portion. So this is called your residual. Residual value. And with Toyota, your residual value never changes. So let's look at, say, a Tacoma. A Tacoma, just a normal SR5, that's kind of your base model four-wheel drive. SR5 four-wheel drive Tacoma, okay? Now these range in price depending on where or how you want them spec'd out and your accessories, but generally we're going to be looking at about $36,000 to $38,000, okay? And with Toyota, your Tacomas are one of the best vehicles to lease, which means they have the highest residual value, okay? So you're not going to be paying as much right there. Now, let's just say, for numbers' sake, that your residual value is going to be 28,000, okay? 28,000. And so that means that really what you're paying here is only going to be about $10K. And now a standard lease is 3 years and 12,000 miles per year. So if we split this slice up like this, you've got year 1, you've got year 2, and you've got year 3. And you, like I said, you can make that slice bigger if you want, because some people, they say, well, I drive more than 12,000 miles a year, okay? Toyota charges 10 cents a mile. So, 10 cents per mile. Per mile. So with that 10 cents per mile, that's $100 for every 30,000 miles. And then that all gets equated into your loan. What are you left with after your lease is up? Okay? Well, if you'd like to keep the truck, you just pay that residual. And you can finance it. Toyota will treat the vehicle as if it's new at that point in time, so you'll get the best rates. They'll let you finance it out to 72 months if you want. And the good part is they honor that residual price. That will never change. Okay? So where are you going to find a 3-year-old Tacoma for that price? You're not. You're not going to find one for that price. And that's the cool thing about this program. So if you want to keep it, you can keep it. So what can you do? What can you do? Can you do? You can keep it. Keep it. You can sell it. You can trade it. Or you can walk away. Okay? So, if you want to keep it, you just finance it. Finance residual. You finance your residual. If you want to sell it, you're most likely going to have equity. Okay? Tacomas, because of that high residual value as well, that reflects that these vehicles, they really hold strong value. So even with 30,000 miles on a Tacoma and 3 years old, it's going to be worth pretty close to how much it costs new. So yes, you will have equity. If you want to trade it, you can trade up. You can trade up and you will have equity. Okay? If you want to walk away, there is no penalty. No penalty. No penalty. And the reason for this is Toyota protects you economically as well. Because that residual value never changes, if something happens crazy with our economy, and let's say values on vehicles just really drop, even on Toyota, and it's worth less than what that residual value is that you could finance it for, well then you're in the negative if you want to walk away. You're in the negative if you want to sell it. You're in the negative if you want to keep it. So literally, Toyota takes the hit. You can hand over your keys, walk away, and there's no penalty. It's pretty cool. And so this is an excellent program, and the best thing as well is your debt to income, because of this, isn't as high. Because this is the only debt that you're taking on that the bank can see. You're not taking on this. And so it reports better on your credit because of that. So for a young buyer, a young first-time buyer, this would be an excellent way for them to get into a vehicle for a fraction of what it would cost monthly to just do a standard financing. And so it can make sense, you know, if you're trying to stay within a budget, you could do something like this, and you could take advantage of very low payments. The Tacomas are #1 for your residual value, which means your payment here is going to be a lot lower. And generally on every $5,000 that you finance, it's about 80 to 100 bucks a month. And so being able to lease finance a Tacoma, you know, you could get into one for pretty cheap, believe it or not. And I'm searching for words. I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, you can get into one pretty cheap, and they even do a one-pay lease. So if you're not looking to make monthly payments, but you've got, you know, $10,000 or $15,000 down, you could just do a one-pay, which means, you know, like if you were just going to buy a vehicle cash, whatever the value of this is going to be, you would just put that down, and then you've got a vehicle to use for the next 3 years with no payment that's going to have equity. You could trade that in when you're done, or you could keep it. And at any time during your lease, Toyota gives you the option. You could sell your lease to somebody else and they could take over your payments. You could walk away. There's no penalty. So you don't just have to sell it to a dealership. You could sell it privately. You could end your lease early too. If you've got equity in your lease, even after a year, and you've still got 2 years left, you could bring it in, trade it in, get into something else, or you could just pocket your equity and sell the truck back to the dealership, pay off the lease, walk away. So there's a lot of options right here. It's really, really good. And one other thing too is looking at this. This kind of shows you what affects your future value, okay? So if you're financing, the customer is responsible, okay? You're responsible for your mileage, your condition, accidents, higher gas prices, lifestyle, new vehicle rebates and incentives, poor third-party reviews, economy and market conditions, and the unknowns for the resale in the future market. Now, when your financing term ends, you can either keep the vehicle, sell, or trade it. With leasing, 36 months, the only thing that you're responsible for is your mileage and maintaining the condition. Toyota even has a program called excessive wear and use that will protect you up to $5,000 of damage, so that when you trade that truck in, they just overlook it and they treat it as if it's not there when they appraise the vehicle. And when your lease term ends, you can purchase the vehicle, you can pay off the residual, you can sell it privately, you can negotiate the trade-in, you could extend your lease, or you can just return it. And your customer leasing benefits, okay? Now this is saying potentially on a lot of these, and that's because it's going to vary on the vehicle. Some vehicles lease better than others. But usually, leasing will give you a lower payment than financing. Lower cash investment. You don't have to put money down if you don't want to. You get more vehicle for the money. Because of that lower payment, a lot of people can get into a vehicle that they didn't know they could get into for the payment that they were searching for. You can get into a new car more often. If you want to trade up every few years, you can do that. Latest safety improvements, so you're always going to be able to take advantage of the latest safety technology on vehicles. Lower maintenance expenses, because you'll have all your factory warranties, and Toyota covers all of your services. You have less risk because Toyota's taking the risk. There's no trade hassle because Toyota's already negotiated what your bare minimum is going to be at the end of the lease. So there's no surprises. You know what to expect. Factory warranty coverage. You're still going to be within all your warranty coverages. And another reason they design a standard lease to be 3 years long is because your factory coverages, you get a 5-year 60 powertrain that covers your engine transmission, and a 3-year 36 comprehensive. Your comprehensive covers all your computers, your sensors, anything else. It used to be what was called your bumper to bumper. It covers the whole vehicle. But if that ends in 3 years, and your lease ends in 3 years, that's typically and historically where you see vehicles start to dip in value. And so Toyota says, well, hang on. Why don't we give you the option to trade your vehicle in before all that happens, and you can maximize on your profits, your equity, okay? So, potentially no negative equity. We just went over the warranty coverage. It's going to build your credit faster because your debt to income isn't as higher. So that frees up more of your income that you can keep in the bank, and the banks like that. So do credit companies. Tax advantages. You pay your taxes monthly, okay? On financing, you pay it in full up front. And then at the end, of course, as I've said many times, you're left with more options. So, the lease program is an amazing program through Toyota, and I highly, highly recommend it to everybody, especially nowadays with interest rates being so high. You know, it may make, you know, that difference for you, so you can get into a vehicle because you were so worried about the interest rates that you were going to have to pay. So, yeah, it's a great program. I've been doing it with a lot of people lately, and I think that everybody should definitely consider the Toyota's leasing program because it's just that good. So hopefully you saw some things that you liked and you learned some things. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.